Hey there guys, this is Brainiac364 for Redstone by Design here in my creative test world just created. I'm here to do a vanilla redstone tutorial for you guys. For my first vid, I'm going to do a lighthouse that I designed myself. It's a very sleek, very survival friendly lighthouse. Um, since this is my first video, I think I'll explain how things are going to work for me. For those who just want to see it and kind of admire it, stay tuned and you're going to see a showcase coming up. I'll just show off the lighthouse, get some cool angles on it and whatnot. For those who want a tutorial on how to build the lighthouse, click to skip to the tutorial and I'll do a step-by-step, block-by-block instruction how to build it. And then for those who are adamant about redstone like me and really want to see what the mechanics are behind it and have a nice in-depth explanation, or maybe you're new to redstone and want to learn how I did it, just click to skip to the redstone logic section of my video and I'll do a nice in-depth explanation. So here's the showcase. Enjoy! Okay guys, here on the screen I have some materials that we'll need to build this. We are going to need 8 hoppers, 36 redstone lamps, 12 comparators, and 13 generic blocks. These blocks don't have to be cosmetic, you can use whatever you want. They'll be hidden by the design. Those are absolutely necessary to build this specific design of lighthouse. Then on the top I have a lever and a redstone torch. I'm going to use those to show you guys how to turn the lighthouse on and off whenever you want. You can hook it to any redstone input. I'll just use a lever. Alrighty, let's get started. So guys, we're going to start with the redstone lamps and we're going to place them as you will see them for the outside of the lighthouse. So starting with the 3x3 here, that bottom level will be wherever you want your lighthouse's lamp system to start at. As far as the placing them in order, I use just one block in a diagonal fashion, and that will align me to the other wall, and which is also a 3x3. And we can continue to repeat this around until we have a nice round-ish circle with a 3x3 space on the middle for us to build. Okay, now we're going to take our generic blocks and we're going to align them on this bottom line of the redstone lamps. This is where our comparators are going to sit. They don't have to be full blocks. You can use whatever you want. It just has to be able to place a comparator on top of it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use these 12 comparators, place them all along there. So now comes a little bit tricky part. You could start by placing a block here. We're going to break that block later, so don't worry about it. And we're going to hold shift and click so that the hopper is facing into the block here. This is very important for the design of the lighthouse. Each time that you place the hopper, the next hopper, it has to be facing into the previous one. We're going to repeat this process until we have all 8 hoppers here all facing into each other in a circular fashion. Lastly, we'll just break this block here and place that one. So that way you see all 8 of them face in a circle into each other. We can place a block right in the middle here just so we don't fall through the hole. And now we'll see all these comparators that are just going to take the output from the hopper. So the last step is to take a generic item. I have cyan, clay here. You can put anywhere between 1 and 8 of these into this first hopper. I'm going to do 1 for now. And you'll see as the item passes around the hopper chain, the lights light up. That's the design complete. As to the direction that you want this lighthouse to spin, it all depends on which way you place this hopper chain. So if you, instead of wanting the lights to turn counterclockwise, you want it to turn clockwise, just break all of these hoppers and place them all in the other direction. Okay? The last thing I have to add here is I did promise I was going to show you guys how to turn the lighthouse on and off. All we need to do really is power this block right here, which will power all 4 adjacent hoppers, and will stop the items from flowing. So right now I can just simulate this with the lever, and you see that the lighthouse completely stops. You can then use that to take the items out, add more items so that you get a longer pulse length, or just generically have the lighthouse stop moving. To shut the lighthouse completely off, you will need to remove all of the items from the hoppers, or the sides will remain lit. They will always stop on one of these middle hoppers because these hoppers are not powered. If you wanted to power it from the bottom, all you got to do is come underneath here, underneath this block, and place a torch. You can then simply power it on and off via powering that and unpowering that torch. Note that the signal will be inverted by that torch, so the lever being off now simulates the lighthouse being off, and the lever being on simulates the lighthouse being on. Okay? Very simple. Easy. So that's it for the tutorial. Now, for those of you who want to stick around, I'll explain kind of how it works. Okay guys, so as far as the redstone goes, there's very minimal concepts at work. It relies on the fact of 2 things. First, hoppers, when a comparator is placed next to them, a comparator will output how full the hopper is in terms of a redstone signal. So you notice, if I put some items in this hopper here, right, it's about a little bit more than half full. You'll notice that the bar of redstone here, which is determining signal strength in terms of 15, is about half full. If I were to fill this all the way up, you'll notice the bar fills up completely to signal strength 15, which is the same as if I were to put a lever here, turn that on. You'll notice that's as far as redstone will reach, just one of the mechanics of redstone. But it relies heavily on the fact that you really only need 1 item to get a signal strength of 1, and 0 items to get a signal strength of 0. So, with 1 item in here, it can power just that first piece of redstone there. So, if we go over here, we notice I just have a simpler setup with the lamp just in front of the hopper, or just in front of the comparator. If I put the piece of whatever inside the hopper, the lamp lights up. Simple. If I take it out, the lamp stops lighting up. What's happening is this comparator is actually powering this redstone lamp as a block, and since redstone lamps can light up if they're adjacent to a powered block, if you place one in a 3x3, this center block is actually powering these 4, and that gives the lighthouse this sort of circular beam shape to it as it moves along the outside of the lighthouse. The second kind of redstone mechanic that I took advantage of is the fact that hoppers will transfer items into other hoppers. So here I have this long chain of hoppers, and each one of them obviously has this redstone lamp comparator set up the same as them all. And if I place an item in just this first hopper, you can see the item as it walks down the path of hoppers, all the way until it gets to the end here. All I did was take this hopper chain and bend it around so that it travels in a circle. So if I were to place an item in here, you'll notice eventually we'll see this item slot. There it goes. The item has traveled in a complete circle around the outside of the hoppers. This makes it for a very compact and simple design of a circular motion of redstone. It normally wasn't able to be accomplished. The only other mechanic that this takes advantage of is for switching it on and off. If a hopper is placed adjacent to a block that is powered, the hopper will no longer transfer items. So, if I were to power a block right here, next to this hopper will no longer transfer items into the next hopper. So if I were to place an item into this hopper at the end, you'll watch it'll get all the way until this hopper now, and it will stop. See, it stopped there until flow is resumed by unpowering this block. So I would able to use this in our lighthouse over here. If I power this center block here, you see all 4 of these hoppers are going to become powered and thus stopping the motion of the circular motion of the item. The one other thing I want to mention is that this lighthouse design in general is completely expandable as to a 5x5 and onward and onward. The only problem, you can create a hopper chain as long as you want in whatever shape you want and have the lights run the display around it. The only thing that limits this design is its 3 high standard, and I am going to come up with a solution for that, possibly just stacking one hopper on top of another and comparator on top to extend the display to make bigger designs. But I hope this gives you guys sort of an inspiration on some use of hoppers and comparators that normally isn't done. A lot of people have tried to build lighthouses in the past, and it's very complicated with minecarts and pistons and all this moving parts, when really now with hoppers it's just so simple as to place them in a circle. Alrighty, well, that's the end of this tutorial and explanation. I hope you guys made sense to you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. See what kind of mechanics I missed and whatnot. Okay? Thank you for watching.